I'm going to teach you about the drop jump today. So this is a very high intensity plyometric exercise. It's not really for beginners because it can cause injury. I don't know if you guys saw the Louisville game where Kevin Ware went to jump up and he landed on one foot and his femur went flying. But not his femur, it was his
tibia.
Tibia, heavy taking anatomy in a while. But so yeah, hopefully using plyometrics wisely can help prevent injuries such as that, because they say 10% of the force needed to fracture a bone can help build it up over time. So this will be giving you a lot more than 10%. So first off, you want to warm up thoroughly before attempting any plyometrics. You want to have a general warm-up and a specific warm-up. So a general warm-up could just be jogging, body weight squats, lunges, things like that. Then a specific warm-up would do more plyometric type exercise but very low intensity. So maybe some jumps in place, some squat jumps, things like that, some skipping exercises, some movement exercises, things like that. All right, so we do depth jumps because when you're landing, there's a lot more force on your quads and your hamstrings than when you're jumping up. I recently participated in Ryan's study. I don't know if some of you know him, but he's one of the students in the master's program here. He had a study where he tests your vertical jump and he takes the EMG activity from your quad. We saw that when I jumped up, there was half as much activity when I did the concentric movement than when I landed with the eccentric movement. So my body coming down, that force on my quad was a much larger electrical activity. So in theory, that'll help us build this muscle up. It'll build a little stiffness and the muscle spindle will react more powerfully. And when I say stiffness, I don't mean like stiff as in like a pen, but almost like a thick rubber band compared to a thin rubber band. So a muscle that's not thin, a thin rubber band, you pull it and it's either going to snap or it's not going to snap back well. A thick rubber band, when you pull it, it's going to snap back powerfully. And that's what you're trying to elicit with drop jumps. So first off, you have to ensure that the participant has an adequate fitness level. So the NSCA says that they should be able to squat 1.5 times their body weight, or be able to squat 60% of their body weight 5 times in 5 seconds as a speed requirement. I think those are 2 excellent suggestions. I would also suggest that they be able to deadlift certain amounts, like maybe 1.5 times their body weight in the deadlift, and maybe deadlift 5 times in 5 seconds, 60% of their body weight. Start height for the box should be about 12 inches to make sure that they don't have any mechanical deficiencies when they jump off the box. So this one's probably, I would say 18 to 20, so a 12-inch box would probably be like down there. Very small box, but it gives you a chance to check out their form and make sure everything's good. Also, I would suggest that you do this in basketball shoes. I have running sneakers on right now, but I found when you do a lot of plyometrics, the running sneakers, since they have such a low ride, it's very hard on your shins over time. The basketball sneakers are more ergonomically designed for the impacts of landing. Like, basketball players dunk, they have to come down. Those shoes are designed to take that force, so that's really helpful. And you always want to make sure that the top has a surface that your feet are going to be able to grip on. You got to test the sneaker to make sure that it's going to grip on the surface, because you're doing a box jump and your foot slips, it can cause a really serious injury. So we're going to get into the actual movement of the exercise. So you want to start off at the top of the box, feet about shoulder width apart, and you want your feet right on the edge. So make sure that the balls of your feet are supported, but the toes can kind of hang off a little bit since they don't support any weight. And when you're leaving the box, you want to step off of the box. You don't want to, what a lot of people will do, either they don't want to feel those forces on their legs, so they'll drop down and they'll let their knee pick up that force, or they'll do too much and they'll jump up off the box. What that does is it doesn't give you a solid baseline of training. So let's say I wanted to increase somebody from a 12-inch box to a 14-inch box. If I'm increasing them to 14, but they've been jumping the whole time, they may have been jumping from the equivalent of a 15, 16-inch box. So as far as training somebody from scientific methods, it's important that we have a standardized measurement. So yeah, once you step off of the box, when you're landing, you don't want to land in a full squat. A lot of times you'll see people will step off and they'll drop all the way down here. Once you get down here, your quads and your hamstrings have taken up all of the ground forces. Like any force that you come down on the ground with, the ground gives it back to you. Once you squat down here, your quads and hamstrings and glutes have taken up all the ground forces and you can't transfer them back up. So when you come down, you don't want to drop lower than a quarter squat. So you come down, you're landing shoulder width apart on the balls of the feet, shoulders, knees, and toes all in a line. And we're only coming to a quarter squat because from this position, we can transfer all of that energy directly back up. So I'm going to step off and come straight back up after that. So I'm going to use all of those ground forces that my body weight came down with, and I'm going to transfer it directly back up through the jump. So there's no pause in between. So all of the time that I spend at the bottom of this jump, this is the amortization phase. So my knees bending is the eccentric. This is the amortization phase, this no movement phase. We want to shorten this as much as possible because they found in the NFL combines, the athletes with the shortest amortization phase have the highest vertical leaps. So ideally, you want to shorten that phase as much as possible. So we want to take all the energy from this eccentric phase, let it go into ground forces, come right back up, and maximize it through the concentric phase with the muscle spindle action and the stretch reflex. Between sets, you want to rest 5 to 10 seconds. You see I'm tired just doing 2 or 3 of them. So, and between reps, you want to do 2 to 3 minutes of rest. So to make this more sport specific, for example, we're using an example of the kid Kevin in Louisville rather. When he jumped up, he landed on one foot in an awkward angle and ended up, breaking his leg and having that compound fracture. So, for example, for him, to make that more sport specific, we could do a one-leg box drop jump, which you see on the back of the chart here in the top right corner. So this is extremely high intensity. You want to make sure that you've progressed your athlete from the low intensity, medium intensity, high intensity before you get to this very high intensity exercise. So you're going to set up the same way. You're going to step off, but come off of one foot. You see I can't get as high because I'm obviously jumping off of one foot instead of 2. But it really prepares you for those high impact movements that you're going to face in a sports setting. Another way to make this more sport specific, let's say for a football wide receiver. So you come off of a pass, catch it, and you're landing. So you jump up, you catch the pass, you're landing, and you have to make a fast cut. You got a 250-pound linebacker here, Ray Lewis, ready to take your head off. You need to go left to right, you can't go forward. So we can use that to use those ground forces and turn them left to right instead of turning them vertical. So we come down and we cut into a direction. So to make it sport specific, you don't want to assist me real quick? I know you got to put some on, but yeah, you don't have to do it fast. So let's say I'm the linebacker. He doesn't know which way I'm coming from. So like you look back first, you catch the pass, I'm just pretending. You have the pass, when you're stepping forward, as your strength and conditioning coach, I'm going to point a direction that you would have to go to avoid this tackle. So once you step off, and then you cut in that direction to make it more sport specific and make it a game type situation. So we have another one here, the depth jump with a standing long jump. This is an excellent one to improve your explosiveness. So as soon as I land, I want to transfer all of those forces directly into that long jump. So you can change these forces into any direction you want. So I don't know what other sports it could apply to, but pretty much you have to use your imagination with it and see, look at your sport, look at the requirements of the sport, and we have to see how we could use it to, meet those needs. I think there's one more to a second box. So this one, I used to have a lot of fun with at my internship. I was interning at the Franco's. It's a gym up in North Jersey. A lot of NFL athletes train there. And so what they would have us do is there would be a large mat here, a crash pad. So you start in the first box, you step off, do a box jump, and then dive into the crash pad. So it really took. You see, it was even hard for me to control there because I jumped a little too hard. But basically, you step off, you catch here, and then you do another deep, long jump into the crash pad. So, it works both of those. It works that deep, eccentric phase, but also lets you maximize plyometrics. talking long enough. Any questions? Would anybody like to try any of the versions? No one? Who's got basketball sneakers? Any questions? Oh, you have questions, Professor?
Oh, no. I was just giving you the thumbs up.